in Switzerland to discuss a nuclear program in Iran. That's where we start today on CNN Student News. Western countries like the U.S. are worried that Iran could use its nuclear program to make nuclear weapons. Iran's government insists its nuclear program is only for peaceful purposes. The United Nations has used sanctions, a kind of punishment, to pressure Iran into negotiations. The latest talks are happening this week.
Even a preliminary deal happens, it could mean the beginning of a shift in geopolitical alliances and the geopolitical landscape in this region. What adds to the drama is that many groups and factions want this to happen. There's other groups and factions and governments who do not want this to happen.
That plan could mean the sanctions against Iran ease up. U.S. National Security Advisor Susan Rice says a deal would benefit the global community. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is against a deal. He says the pressure, the sanctions, should be increased because he says they're finally working. A baseball player, country singer, astronaut, media mogul, and former president. They're among the newest Presidential Medal of Freedom honorees. Yesterday, President Obama awarded 16 people who, in his words, dedicated their own lives to enriching ours, including Baseball Hall of Famer Ernie Banks, who played 19 years with the Chicago Cubs. Loretta Lynn, one of the first successful female country music artists. Sally Ride, whom you're about to see in this YouTube clip, and the first American woman in space, was honored posthumously. Oprah Winfrey hosted America's highest-rated talk show for 25 years, and Bill Clinton is the 7th former president to get the Medal of Freedom. One former president who earned the Medal of Freedom established the award 50 years ago, President John F. Kennedy. After yesterday's Medal of Freedom ceremony, Presidents Obama and Clinton, along with First Lady Michelle Obama and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, visited Arlington National Cemetery. They placed a wreath at the eternal flame that marks President Kennedy's gravesite. They also met with members of the Kennedy family. Tomorrow marks the 50th anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination. We're going to have special coverage of that event in tomorrow's show, so please be sure to watch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Main engine start, ignition, and liftoff of the Atlas V with Maven, looking for clues about the evolution of Mars through its atmosphere.
Maven, the Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution spacecraft, won't set down on the red planet. Maven's designed to orbit Mars between 90 and 3,700 miles above the surface. It'll have some company. When Maven arrives, NASA will have a half-dozen Mars missions running.
For scientists or space enthusiasts alike, Mars continues to amaze. It's no surprise the red planet is currently the subject of 5 active NASA missions, 3 in orbit and 2 on the surface.
And liftoff of the Atlas V with Curiosity, seeking clues to the planetary puzzle about life on Mars.
You've probably heard of Curiosity, NASA's rover studying the geology and climate on the ground. Now, NASA's 6th mission, Maven, is hoping to study Mars from above and answer a 4 billion-year-old question: what made the 4th planet from the sun turn red and barren?
It's gone from that polar sterile desert, geological world, kind of boring rocks, to this exciting, blooming world with a history that does include warm, wet times, climate change, dynamic atmospheres, landslides, ice sheets, buried ice, unbelievable.
Scientists believe that Mars may have looked a lot like Earth, with blue skies and warm temperatures. We do believe that Mars at one point had liquid water, correct?
Absolutely. Evidence in the rocks from Curiosity is literally unassailable. And we see the record even in the frozen materials in the soils today.
Collecting new measurements of the planet's upper atmosphere will give those analyzing the data a better understanding of the climate change over the red planet's history.
We expect to learn how the modern Mars works, really in detail, to see its climate state, to understand how the atmosphere is lost to space, how Mars may have lost a magnetic field, to take that information and map it back in time.
The journey will be long. Maven will have to travel 10 months and millions of miles before reaching Mars's orbit. But NASA says the journey and Maven's $671 million price tag are worth it, especially if Maven can help unlock the big question: did life ever exist on Mars? Chad Myers, CNN, Atlanta.
Well, back on Earth, there are concerns about concussions. These brain injuries are usually caused by a hit to the head, especially in contact sports like football or hockey. The symptoms of a concussion might not show up immediately, but some researchers are working on technology that could detect these injuries as they happen.
Their quarterback ran and I tackled him. We just both hit the ground.
13-year-old Eric Sweeney is describing a concussion he suffered a few weeks ago.
Didn't hurt or anything, it just shocked, like it felt all fuzzy in the back of my head.
On his team's sideline, no one saw the play. And despite that fuzzy feeling, Eric was raring to go.
He came out after that play, and he was ready to go back in.
But he was stopped short by this. It's a sensor worn under the helmet. It is supposed to flash yellow after a moderate impact to the head and red after a severe one. When Eric came off the field, his light was flashing yellow.
He sat out one play, and then he began to get dizzy. Then he began to get the headache. And then it became evident that something was not right.
Fortunately, the impact indicator flashed red, and he was removed from the game.
Concussion helmet sensors. They're beginning to pop up on all sorts of playing fields.
So why don't you try that on?
They're marketed as being able to measure whether a hit is too hard, and as in Eric Sweeney's case, an extra set of eyes on the field. But how well do they really work? That is what scientists at this bioengineering lab are trying to find out.
Everything's green, nothing triggered, and that's what we'd expect.
A low-level impact, and the products being tested all have green lights glowing. But when the helmet drops from higher up,
60 inches, 5 feet. This is probably gonna be over 100 Gs. Big hit. 3, 2, 1. Well, that is surprising. So nothing went off there. That's well into the range of concussion. You would definitely want an alert at 110 Gs. You can see the 6 different accelerometers in there.
Stefan Duma, a biomedical engineer who leads the testing at Virginia Tech, decides to drop from 6 feet.
Gosh, I'd be pretty concerned if this does not trigger one of those. 3, 2, 1.
That impact, 130 Gs, is like running full speed into a brick wall. One device did trigger, the other did not.
That's ready. We'll probably shoot for about 150 G impact on this one. Yep.
At an even higher drop, one product flashes green, the other red.
So this really kind of underscores that we need to do testing. We need to understand what we're measuring, when they trigger, when they don't.
CNN Heroes, ordinary people finding ways to make a difference in their communities. These are the top 10 heroes of 2013. They were honored for their efforts at an awards show this week. Chad Pregracki has helped remove 7 million pounds of trash from the Mississippi River and other U.S. waterways. Pregracki is getting $250,000 to continue that work because he is the CNN Hero of the Year.
You know, I've met so many great people today, the other heroes, and I'm really moved by all their stories and all the things they do around the world. And like the 250 grand, I'm just gonna give 10 grand to each of them because they're awesome. So yeah.
You can catch the full CNN Heroes All-Star Tribute when it airs on December 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern on CNN. From the West Coast to the East with a Lone Star stop in between, it's time for the roll call. Out in Irvine, California, the Vaqueros put Irvine High School on our map. We're bullish on the Toros from A.J. Breezemeister Middle in Seguin, Texas. And we have our first iguanas, the Oasis Iguanas in Cape Coral, Florida. Thanks to all of you for watching. All right, I've heard of how a firework can shoot across the sky, but dolphins in the sky? Gotta see it to believe it. This YouTube clip might look magical, but the mystery is mostly made of mirrors, or at least reflections. The water these dolphins are in is so clear that it's reflecting the clouds, and that's why it looks like the dolphins are moving through the air rather than under the waves. So it might be a little misleading, but it was recorded that way on purpose. We're out of time for today, but we'll flip around and meet you back here tomorrow to finish up the week.